Kelly, do you want to switch gears? We have a little bit of time here. Well, we more than a little to talk about Taylor Swift. This was a re-release. You were telling me.
No, this is a new album. So this one, her album Midnights, she's got 4 different cover versions of it, and she dropped a few different versions. So it's a lot of songs. And her theme of this album is all about revenge. So she's, really spilling some tea. And I mean, she always does, but in this one particularly, she's kind of going back after people that have kind of, done her dirty and kind of airing some stuff. So, some Taylor Swift fans are saying that, one of her songs, basically she admits to outing Scooter Braun's affair and telling his wife. And I mean, I'm like, hey, that's how she expresses herself. They really did her dirty, and good for her for being like, you know what? Who do you think did it? I did it.
Oh, dang.
And it's just kind of like that. And that's like the theme of the album. And Taylor Swift fans, they are they're very protective of her. And I think it was a New York Times critic that kind of gave it a bad review, saying, it really wasn't anything, great. And people were kind of coming at it, but she's a great lyricist. She tells a story, and I was never really like not a fan or a fan, but I got interested after all that Jake Gyllenhaal drama, so I listened more carefully to the words of her songs. And she really is a great storyteller. She has some very powerful lyrics, and she just talks about her life. And I think, I respect her for all the hard work that she does, and she puts out some great stuff. She knows what her fans like. She gives them that. And, the whole thing with Scooter and her music rights and buying her catalog and all of that to the point where now she's re-recording all of those old songs in order to own those masters. That takes a lot of money, a lot of work, and a lot of guts to stand up and do that. So, kudos to her.
Real quick, Kelly, you may want to pull your headphones open a little because it sounds like they're rubbing on each other a little. Possibly.
It might just be my hair.
Or yeah, I might just be hearing Taylor Swift's music in my mind. So essentially, was she saying that she had a bad deal at the beginning? Is kind of what it is, and through that she had to re-record certain music so she could have rights to it.
He bought her masters from her original record label, and then basically either had the price too high or wouldn't sell them to her. I have to go back and kind of reread what the true story was about it, but they had a falling out where he was kind of like holding them hostage, so to speak.
Okay.
Where he just didn't want to let her have them. Because
of
course he's making millions off of it.
Is he still the manager of Justin Bieber also? I mean, does he still I wonder.
I don't know. I mean, he's still, a lot of his clients have still stuck with him. So I don't really know that.
And how about that? Another cheating scandal. It's just
apparently he had a thing with a Real Housewife of something.
Oh, I should know this.
You should know this. Yes.
Go look it up right now. No. Who could it be? I'm so intrigued now. No, I mean it was
all one of those articles I sent you, I think.
I mean, oh gosh, this show is just falling apart. But yeah, so he cheated, and so she's giving him his medicine back. She also has a little bit of a TikTok challenge or a YouTube short challenge, so maybe we'll do that. I don't know. But that's pretty cool for her to kind of take her power back in some ways.
Yeah,
I guess is what you're getting at. Yeah,
I mean, she's gotten a lot of flack over the years for basically just doing what male musicians do, and she's gotten a lot of shit for it, for her dating life, for just.
What do you mean though exactly? Doing what men do? What part?
Well, because it's like if you're a rock star and you're dating a lot of women and you're a male and that's kind of your thing, you are praised for it. Guys are like high-fiving you and people are like, oh, that's so great. But as a female, talking about your dating history and your dating life and making it, I guess, putting it all out there and having different actually dating is kind of frowned upon. And it's just a double standard that's been around till forever. It's happening. It happens to a lot of women in the industry, and a lot of people that are kind of tearing you down for it are other women, which is unfortunate.
You said that. Yeah
because you look at all the different, the different cheating scandals and all that, and depending upon how you think about it, I mean, when the whole Brad Angelina thing like blew up, a lot of people were blaming Jen. They were, when he cheated on her with Angelina, it was like, oh, well, you didn't want to have a baby, you didn't want to do this, and he wanted a family, so that's why he did that to you. And it's a lot of women saying that, and she put up with a lot of stuff. I mean, it's been going on forever, and it just like sucks
Why we
to
let
like,
people
yeah.
with who don't have credentials to have an opinion speak is crazy. But you're right, people will really jump into this and kind of make what do you call it, opinions that really aren't the same across the board. You want to
Hmm.
keep the same energy. um in an image here that we're looking at, it's like he's cool because he's got a flock of women around him, and
Hmm.
then shame on her because she has a flock of men around her. And these are
Hmm.
just things that these are things that have been burnt into your into your mind as a very young child, that this is kind of, the guy's just going to be a guy, and the woman has to
Right.
kind of also navigate differently. When we watched Hulu's Difficult People, it was great because there was that episode where Billy was like talking to Arthur about, like, when you shame her, you're shaming women, you're shaming
Hmm.
gay men. And I mean, the reason he was saying that is because you're just shaming things that you depict as shouldn't be.
Hmm.
And you're now suddenly saying, because she is doing that, because in that storyline it was Julie having a lot of fun with anyways, the whole storyline. And it is that thing that, like,
I mean, she
I
was
don't
being a
know.
little promiscuous. She had gone through a trauma, and that's how she chose to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it's just something that happened in her life. It was like something she was actively like acting out, and she was getting a little bit of shame for it. But it does shine a spotlight on that. It's like, why? What does
Yeah.
that have to do with you?
I
How
I
does
was
that hurt you?
I don't want to jump in and overshadow the story here of Taylor
Hmm.
Swift, but I want to jump in with like kind of a similar thing. Like, so I had been watching, well, I watched Bros, and I'd watched also American Horror Story New York City, the newest one.
Oh yeah.
And like, I feel, and I was watching it with family, and I believe there was a little like, wow, this is like risque or whatever. And all I wanted to say is, yeah, in the American Horror Story New York City, it's a lot of gay guys getting it on. Yes, that's like living it up, owning it. But like, it just is always gets looked at so differently. I'm like, but yeah, we watch every other show about
Hmm.
American Pie was the same thing, but American Pie didn't move the needle at all in terms of uncomfortability. It was
Right.
like, oh, those are just boys being boys, and what is the word, objectifying, the
Hmm.
Shannon Elizabeth character. So I sometimes do feel that, and again, I can't feel it from the woman perspective. Again, we have this little image here.
Hmm.
He's cool, shame on her. As a gay guy, I'm like, I want my own image, but it's that thing where I'm like, I always feel like I have to protect it in terms of like how people react. Like, oh, Bros, why did they have to have these scenes with like 3 or 4 guys? And why? It's like, you mean the scenes that we see on every other movie, but like when it's men, it's like suddenly a different thing. When it's women, it's suddenly a different thing. So to that, I say I can agree with what you're saying, even though it's so different.
Well, because it's just the double standards all the way around, depending upon where it's being focused and where the target is. Because aside from just like the dating and sexual aspect of it, there's also, as a woman, if you are, standing up for yourself, or you are combative in any way, then you're just a bitch, or you're emotional, or you're whatever. But if it's a male, then he's just being strong, and he's taking charge, and he's whatever. It's just a very different outlook. And when you're in kind of like a corporate setting or any professional setting, there's always going to be that. It's always, a lot of the excuse sometimes is like, oh, is it that time of the month for you? And it's
Is that
such
being said?
I
Oh, that's
yes
nasty.
I
Yeah.
yes like
Yeah.
I've heard that, I've experienced that, and it's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and the flip side is like, sometimes you as the woman, I mean, I'm guessing here, you're trying to
mhm,
get your job done. People aren't really listening all the time. You know what I mean? People
no,
don't
yeah.
necessarily take things seriously. So what I know from your career is you've had to kind of step up and say, I need this shit done, and I need it done now.
Mhm.
Had it went another way, where you get the respect in the position that you're at and people do what they're supposed to, Kelly doesn't ever have to go to that place.
Right. If
Yeah.
you just did your job, it would never have to go beyond that, ever. But
Yeah.
then it turns around to be, my fault for being like too hard or too that. Why? Because I want you to do the job you were hired to do. That makes me the bad guy. And it
Yeah.
kind of goes along with like some of the things that she talks about in her songs. I mean, one of, Taylor Swift's songs specifically talks about that. And it's like, if I was a man, and it's from an older album, but she like puts those references together, and it's very true. And, Olivia Wilde is kind of going through that right now. She's dating a younger guy and she's getting a ton of shit for it. Where, the nannies now come out talking shit.
Yeah.
All the stuff about her movie that got overshadowed with all of that drama. It's just so many different things that are a double standard and just take away from the objective
And that's
of what's going
why
on.
and when people don't understand our dynamic as hosts and longtime friends, and I do it with lots of people, it's like, and you don't need my validation by any means, but I'm always like affirming and like, that's right, Kellie, you go get busy, you do what you want to do. If Kellie ends up getting married, that's fine too. Like any lane you take, I'm supportive of it, because
Yeah.
that would be hypocritical if I say, oh, Kellie, by the way, on the weekend, boy, if you knew what I did, and I give her all the nasty stories, and then it's like suddenly I would judge her because like, oh, Kellie, woman, therefore she needs to be more pure. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just need to be smart, mentally healthy for what you get into.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be able to like support. But a lot of people don't do that. The relationship between a gay guy and one of his longtime female friends is a little bit more supportive. Unfortunately, straight men really hold that on. It's like your sister and your mother need to be, pure as can be, but like you will objectify women all day, every day. I mean, it's built into the culture. It's built into going to football games, and there's cheerleaders, like and they don't really realize it. And I'm not trying to proclaim anything bad about the way straight men do things, but it is something to open your mind to. Well, I'm glad Taylor Swift has new music. That's exciting. I did see a lot of chatter online. I've never really listened to it too much, so I will go back and check it out.